Welcome to MenSpeak Radio. MenSpeak Radio. Today we are 4. We were supposed to be 5. We're going to do a live men's group. It's Ben's first live men's group, and he's still fiddling with his phone, and he hasn't read the ground rules. This is outrageous. Focus.
I am. You wanted me to put something on Instagram, so I've done it. I'm here now. I'm present.
You are an Instagram star, aren't you? How many followers do you have?
I've got a few. I think 29,000.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know how to say that.
Do you get 29,000 Christmas cards?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
You could rebuild a tree sculpture with that many Christmas cards. I'll stop talking to you so you can read the ground rules. And I will tell you. I'll tell you what we can tell you about while he reads. So we had a meeting this morning with Lau. Lau helps us out in the team, and Lau lives in Australia. Check this out. So it was International Men's Day the other day, and people are supposed to, be nice to men and be clear about men's issues and mental health and testicular cancer and prostate cancer, and it's all very polite and nice in London, and we do things. Lau lives in Australia, and his wife opens the cupboard, and there's a snake, a dirty great snake. And he goes, right, are you reading the ground rules?
I've read the ground rules, now I'm listening to you.
God, that was quick.
I'd read half of them, and then I've done the second half. But they're familiar. So
that's all right. That was really quick. You're a quick reader.
Well, I've got the...
So I'll tell you about the snake. Check this out. There's this. So his wife opens the cupboard in their kitchen in Australia. I don't remember where, Melbourne or something. Anyway.
Melbourne?
No. Oh, I kissed my teeth.
Kiss
That's
your
rude.
teeth with me, bro.
I can say Melbourne. Melbourne. So there's this dirty great snake, and she goes, ooh, there's a snake. So, it's the man's job to do things like this, it seems. And they didn't have one of those handy snake catcher things, and they didn't have anything apart from salad tongs. And he doesn't know whether this snake's going to attack him or kill him or what. So he goes in there with these salad tongs, and he grabs it, and then the head goes under because it tries to go away. And then he pulls it out, and then it starts kind of squirming around and trying to bite him. And there he is, but it's polite salad tongs, and it's squirt. It's outrageous. So he goes outside. Oh, she didn't take a photo. She rushed to get the camera, hubby could have died. But, you need to get a selfie with the snake. And he lobs it, and there it is stuck up a tree. Diddly diddly. That is man work. No, wait a minute, that's sexist. If that happened to me, obviously, because I'm an equal opportunities type of person, I'd ask my wife to do it. No, I wouldn't. Anyway, ground rules. So we are going to hold, this is our 4th live men's group. Go to mensgroups.co.uk. And you can download the ground rules and the check-in round and some videos. And you know what the ground rules are. There's some pretty funky ground rules, like play bigger than the rule, which is cool, and say pass, so there's no pressure. And then you know how to run your own men's group. But what we're going to do is, I remember what we do. First, we check, has everyone read the ground rules?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I have.
Does anyone want to add or take away or haggle or change any ground rules?
I have to haggle.
Why? Because
it's in my blood. I have no, I don't want to haggle. I think the rules are, in all honesty.
What? No haggling?
I mean, if you want me to, I can.
Do you know what? I wish I knew that sketch. The Monty Python.
Oh, the haggling
with
one.
The shekels.
With the shekels. We'll learn it for the next men's group. We'll do a whole reenactment at the start of the show.
Exactly. Right. Haggling? Anything to add? Anything to change?
I mean, it all looks good to me.
Good.
I'm happy.
So what we do is check that anyone wants to change anything, because if there is anything to change, then that person and everyone else can own the ground rules and agree to the ground rules. And the next thing we do is, are you going to ching your bell, Bertie? We usually do 2-minute silence, but what do we do on here? 30 seconds or something, or a minute?
Yeah. Do you want to do it?
You're
the leader.
I'm not the leader.
Well.
You're the biggest. You ching the bells.
Well, okay.
Go on. So
What bells when do I do?
you do it when I go ching, and then you count. If we're doing 30 seconds, then you can have this digital watch.
I'm feeling quite a lot of pressure already.
I'll do the bells.
That was an accident.
You don't need
Are we going silent? Yeah. what's happening?
premature ching. I feel a first round coming on. Hold on.
I'm a
So
natural.
the whole point of doing this, you usually do 2 minutes, the 30-second silence, is to get here and leave the day and me being hyperactive and the snake story and everything at the door. So we are present in the group and we can begin. So over to you for the ching. And don't forget to ching us back, because otherwise we could be lost in space for a while.
Okay, well, hang on. So I don't feel very clear on what I have to do.
I'll do it. No worries.
I was
I
gonna-
think I'm
Is that
very...
Ching?
No. That was me dribbling.
Okay.
I do apologise. So where should I ching this for the mic? Is that okay?
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, to be fair, it's quite loud, so I think all the mics pick it up really
I'll do
clearly.
it quietly then. Okay. Are we ready, folks? Are we sitting comfortably? 3. What do you want?
I want that MenSpeak Radio thing here,
Okay.
please.
Looking at you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
No, don't be. It's there's lots of time to debrief later.
Okay, good.
3, 2, 1. And we begin with the check-in round. Over to you, James.
Over to me. My name is James. I feel calm, very calm. What I want from this group is a good show and good conversation with some good people. My age is 24. My Chinese sign is pig. My Western sign is Aquarius. My sexuality is... I always get this one wrong. Is hetero? Am I hetero?
At what stage do you get this wrong? Stop.
All the stages. All the stages I get this one wrong. I'll pass that one.
TBC.
Yeah, TBC too. To be considered. I'm single, on the market, confused. That was one of the options, by the way. The last time I cried was last Thursday when I saw my nan, who unfortunately is very unwell. Last time I ejaculated was last night. My greatest fear right now is probably losing my nan, even though it's less of a fear and more of a reality at this point, I think. I hate this weather. It's really gotten bloody cold.
It's the cold part you don't like.
But it's just gotten cold all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and I really don't like it. I'm a hot weather man. I love hot weather. See how I did that there? That's
He's so slick.
That's professional radio. For
And
you.
he's single, ladies. He might not know his sexuality.
Maybe you can help me find it.
Well, there was that experiment we did with the probes and the pictures, remember?
No.
Not probes, sensors, sorry.
Now I'm really nervous.
Let's move on swiftly.
I am content and quite giddy right now, so which is good.
Thank you.
No longer confused.
That was quick.
So my name is Bertie. Right now, I feel the camera's eyes pointing. It's really annoying how I'm always the one like directly in front of the camera, where it's your show and you should be the one that's like it's pointing
not
out.
my show. It's our show, and you're the one with.
And you
a
get to
mo.
hide like in the corner.
That's because my face is dropping. I have to hide it. I'm 55 years old, for crying out loud. Check out his
Excuses,
moustache,
excuses.
I love the tash.
It's a mo,
Yeah?
bro.
I love the
Yeah,
tash.
you're looking good.
Good.
Anyway, you were saying
Anyway, yeah.
you're being conspicuous. Have you noticed how his shirt matches his eyes?
Oh.
What sexuality
purpose.
are you, Kenny?
It's not my turn yet.
We'll find out later. Another one to be seen. Yeah, so I am feeling a bit nervous, but I always feel a bit nervous at the beginning of these, and then it kind of goes after spool a little bit.
What, beginning of the ones on the radio or even in the room?
No, not the ones in the room.
Right.
They just feel like
Normal.
more normal than daily life.
Yeah, true.
Now. Yeah. What I want from the group, listen, share, joke around a bit, I guess. I'm 26, Chinese sign, monkey, Western sign, Capricorn. I'm straight, single. Last time I cried, Tuesday I watched Shawshank Redemption, and it's a hard hitter.
Can I ask what bit brought you to tears?
There were two. There was I didn't like full out like bawl, but some brought tears to my eyes with the singing scene when he puts on the record.
Yeah,
and the Italian ladies singing.
Yeah. I don't know what that lady was singing about that day. But we were all free.
I don't want to know.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Yeah. He's good, eh?
Wow. I'll be Morgan for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
It was, and then it was Brooks.
Oh yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah,
that's heavy. And not the bit when he finally breaks free.
Oi, focus.
Oh, focus.
One,
yeah.
Two, Brooks.
My greatest fear right now, like shitting myself and then like having to pretend that I haven't shat myself.
Do you need the bathroom?
For the rest of the? No. It's just like that's what it is right now. If I had to name one.
Have you been eating lots of grapes, or have you been like prune juicing, or
I haven't shat myself.
Whatever, ever?
I have once, when I was a kid. When I was like, you know how everyone used to try and like it was in the school ground. I must have been like 10, and everyone tries to do the fart on command. And I was like, I can fart on command.
I have.
And then it was like
you're kidding.
A little bit came out, and I had to feel like, I just want to go to the loo right now for an unrelated reason.
By the way, that everybody does not include me.
Sure.
Yeah,
like, did you lot play fart on?
I didn't play it.
Kind of a school did you?
Maybe this our age, Kenny.
Yeah. It's,
well,
I guess it's...
Would you rather fart on demand or kiss chase?
Oh, I was at all boys school.
Oh.
So you've given me not many options there.
Moving swiftly on yet again. It's going to be that kind of weird. Okay.
Yeah, we can move on. I hate... can't think of anything. I love trampoline parks. I am pretty thoughtless at the moment, as in I don't have any thoughts. I'm not a careless person.
Nice,
thank you.
Wow, this is big, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so my name is Ben. I feel excited, nervous. It's difficult to differentiate between. You know, I love these things, but it's both. What I want from this group is real talk, honesty, to see each other. My age is 38. My Chinese sign, I still don't know what that is. Listen to you guys.
What year?
81.
What comes after monkey? I don't remember.
I'm not bothered by my Chinese sign. Should I be?
Yeah.
Should I?
I think it's way cooler than the Western one.
Is it?
It's way better.
Well, I'll find out what it is and then I'll decide if it sounds good. My Western sign is Leo. My sexuality is straight. I'm single. I'm just reading through the options, sorry. The last time I cried is I ran a retreat in Ibiza in about a month ago, mid-October. And there were some real emotional experiences on that, for sure. Not floods of tears, but just moments where you it was impactful, and you're like, wow, it was big. It was big moments for me actually. The last time I ejaculated was sometime last week. We're on Wednesday, aren't we? Sometime last week. I wouldn't be able to tell you the time, the day. Sometime last week. My greatest fear right now, I still find, and I think it's because it's raw right now, but I still find rejection is what gets me.
From anyone in particular?
I find it's rawest from women.
Right.
And I think that's where that's bubbling.
Any type of women? Any type of relationship?
Someone I'm interested in.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you fancy someone, is it before you get into dating or during a relationship, or
just if I like them but I'm sensing the disconnect, then that gets me quite raw, because I'm just, even though it's not what I it's not what I coach, it's embrace rejection, it just means they're not the right one. It's not it's nothing personal, but it still gets me a bit raw.
Could be.
Yeah.
Of course it's personal. How could it not be personal?
Yeah, no, but I really believe the right one will be the right one, and we're not meant to be right for loads and loads of people, and that's just you finding out, and it's just all you're learning is that you're not right for each other. It's not a personal rejection. Do you know what I mean?
No. I still don't get how it's not personal.
Because
all
it says is
about
if they're in a different space to you.
Right.
So it's not all on you. It's the coming together of two energies, and they're not matching. Your energy is still right if it's authentic, and their energy is still right if it's authentic. It doesn't mean they have to match.
So all you're saying is it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And don't take it personally.
Yeah.
I buy that.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, I've got this thing where sometimes logic and emotion don't fit. So for me, that's logical.
Yeah.
And I can't argue.
Yeah.
But my emotions just don't get logic. To be frank, it doesn't.
Oh, the emotion is raw. Don't get me wrong. The emotion is very real and it's right there. And I'm definitely not disputing the emotion, but it's just it's the conversation around the emotion. If you know what I mean.
And I wonder whether your perspective here is also about long-term relationships rather than a cheeky snog or a fling or a whatever it is.
To be honest,
all of the above.
All of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what.
I
find I'm still finding it.
Yeah.
That even now, even having done a lot of the work and built my own sort of self-love levels, even now I still, when someone sort of pulls away from you and you can feel it, I'm like, oh, you.
You can swear. You can swear.
Well, I don't want to swear though. But you know what I'm going to say. But I don't really say that. But
I don't know what you're going to say. But I did notice.
BITCH.
Oh, really?
No, but I'm not. That's your ego kicking in.
Yeah.
So that's the way that you protect yourself from pain.
Make them wrong.
Yeah.
Or sort of chastise them, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But not really. I don't feel that. That's my ego kicks in. But I don't feel that. It's just that's what I can feel. My ego trying to protect me by saying it's them. But I know that the reality is it's just a mismatch. Or for me inside, it's just
the reality.
Well, I don't think it's someone who rejects me is a bitch just because they rejected me.
But if I feel anger towards someone, even if it's for a split second, or rage,
it's real.
Or like I want revenge, or like whatever it is, then it's totally real.
Yeah,
I do feel that. I don't go, oh, that's another part of me that is like no.
Yeah.
It's like I have that and a lot more evil than that in me.
Yeah.
And I know it.
Yeah.
And when I didn't know it, I think it owned me, and I had a silly ass grin on my face most of the time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have pooed myself if I wanted to.
Sort yourself out, Kenny. What's wrong with you?
Anyway, I kept butting in. Sorry about that.
No, not at all. So that's my greatest fear right now is rejection. So then I feel this is all connected. So I hate rejection. I think, and even it goes beyond women. I still notice it. I don't get a public speaking job, or somebody doesn't come in. And you put yourself forward, and you're like, what? Like, why not? What kind of, why? And so there's still work for me to do on that. Absolutely, even though I know what's right, and that I shouldn't take it. For me, I shouldn't take it personally. I still experience that for sure. Still great. Because I'm with you with the emotion. The emotion comes up, and I'm all for feel the emotion. But what I then want to do is be able to, once I've felt the emotion, and emotion shouldn't last too long physiologically in our body. Wow. I don't want to then retain the emotion by continuing to think and process it and make it personal. I just want to feel it. A bit like a dog, when you leave the house, the dog is devastated, you leave, give it 90 seconds or so, and the dog's over it and doing its thing, right? Because it's not processing, it's not continuing to go, you bastard, you left the house, why have you not, you don't love me, you're not here for me anymore, you don't respect me, and da-da-da. It just feels what it feels, it's really upset, and then it cracks on with its day. And then you walk back in the door that night, and it's so happy to see you, and it feels, for 90 seconds, let's say roughly, and then the emotion is gone, and it's back present where it was again. Do you know what I mean? So I'm all for feeling, but I just don't want to dwell in the space and continuing over the day going rejection, I'm still rejected, oh my god, I'm still
It's a fine line to walk though, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be there with it and then to not dwell on it.
Yes, it is.
It's a very fine line to walk, I think. I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't put someone down if they couldn't, if they sat there with it for ages. I think we're all guilty of that, really.
Definitely.
I'm not sure it's even something to be guilty about. It's
guilty
it is what it is. It is.
Yeah.
May as well accept what is. But I don't get what you said about emotions shouldn't last too long.
So physiologically in our body, they are they should last around 90 seconds, and then we retain the emotion by continuing to think about it. But if we didn't have any tie to it, or just felt it completely, expressed it, and then let it pass, then it can be in and out. So we as human beings draw out emotions by continuing to retain those thoughts around them and processing them and dwelling on them and trying to work them out and rationalise them. And,
I guess I'm thinking about two extremes here, where if I'm sad or grieving, then it's not going to be 90 seconds.
No.
And I can hold on to my sadness and grief because I don't want to miss out on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on the feeling. I want to feel through it so it's not suppressed and I'm not carrying it around with me.
Yeah.
So I need to not just feel through it, but I find also the more I want out of life, something will come up, something that has not been an issue until it suddenly come up, being triggered or whatever. And for me, it's saying, you want more out of life, then set me free. And for me, the way that I've found to set that free is to feel through it. Yeah. Even just to talk about it, just to name it, not necessarily process it or think about it or make a personality out of it or write a blog about it or anything like that. Don't milk it too much. But for me, I don't want to miss out. Yeah. So I will feel through weirdly International Men's Day was a funny day for me. I was in a bit of a downer. I was exhausted, and there's a few public things to do and stuff. And that was the day where I could have justified letting this go and putting on a good show. And I just thought, nah. This is what's going on, and I'm not going to miss out.
No.
It's not International Fraud Day. That's many other days. But yeah, interesting that. I've never heard that before. And it's the same with joy. It's like if I'm feeling joy, I'm going to feel joy. Now, I like my feelings. I like my emotions. I like them to pass. But I'm still trying to get my head around your...
It came from, I spent 4 days in the mountains with some monks, and they were the ones who taught me about it.
Isn't it also the actual chemical release?
Yeah, the chemical release. Yeah.
So that, I think I know what he's saying. Is like the actual chemical release of whatever. I don't know the science.
Yeah. And then once that's happened, you have a choice of how you wish to be with this emotion.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if you sit with
feel
monks,
that for the 90 seconds. But so the dog is a prime example, because dogs don't have the same processing of thoughts.
Yeah.
So you really see them express all of that feeling in that 90 seconds. And then they return to that space, and they felt it, but they just don't continue the process beyond. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I'm just saying we do have the option more than I think we are capable of to process the emotion in a different way beyond that experience.
And I get what you're saying, because, for example, in meditation, it is for me noticing what comes up and letting it pass.
Yeah.
So in that situation, in daily life, it's like, no,
Yeah.
this is mine,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be with it
Yeah.
for as long as I want to be with it. But meditation, different story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you.
No,
I
not
keep
at all.
butting in on you, eh?
No, it's
This is
okay.
supposed to be
No, it's
chatting.
interesting. It's very interesting. So that's what I hate is rejection. I love connection. It's a new experience for me in the last few years, and for me, it's almost it's a drug almost. I'm real. That's me out. Kenny.
Thank you. Right. My name is Kenny. I feel a little scared.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good.
Kenny, the man whisperer, Mammarella-D'Cruz, is feeling a little bit
Don't
scared.
milk it. I'm over it now.
90 seconds
I've
done.
named it and it's gone. It's totally gone. It's passed. Just like you thought your fart would. Anyway. What I want from this group is to hang out. I wanted to, like, there are 4 of us. I wanted to hang out with Paul as well, and I'm really a little bit concerned about Paul because Paul's homeless. Paul's been on the show before, and he hasn't been 100% well as far as I know because he's got ME and he sometimes ends up in hospital. And yeah, I wanted to check in and see how he is.
He might still shut.
Do you think?
I'm hoping.
Yeah, because he was. Yeah, let's see. Anyway, yeah, I want to hang out. I really fancy hanging out. There's so much hanging out to do. I am 55 and I'm coming alive. I'm a Virgo dragon. I do apologise. Straight, married, cried. Do you know? You do a lot of interviews and stuff too, don't you?
Yeah.
Most interviews, I drink. I have my bottle, and at some stage, most interviews, I sip it, so I don't distract the interview by crying. Because I feel like crying most interviews.
Oh, what's wrong? Why don't you let the tears out?
Oh, because
Great
I'll save
radio.
it. Yeah, it is. But the thing
It
is,
is.
if I get distracted by that, then it's all about crying, and I'd rather just be with. And also, it's not sadness or anything. It's just heart opening, or it's feeling something, and feelings pass. And I'd rather stay with the story, and feed that, than get distracted by a little. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just want your pound of flesh because you're a cheap producer.
You know, I want some tears. I want some tears, bro. Give me some tears.
But other
Really?
than that, last time I cried properly was October. When did I go to Portugal? Was it September, October? Something
September.
like September. That's a long time ago. I'm overdue. Right. Last time I ejaculated, few days. Greatest fear right now. Greatest fear right now is my left eye betraying me. Isn't there something in the Bible about plucking it out?
The left eye.
Yeah, if your left eye betrays you,
Isn't it an
Then-
eye for an eye?
Yeah, it's
that's a different one.
Oh, I didn't know there was 2.
Anyway, yeah, my left eye. I wonder what's going on with it. I think maybe it's just like I'm not seeing properly, or it's I don't know. And also, I've got this Columbo thing. You know, I believe that Columbo is what life's all about. Seeing the times, noticing the signs and temptations, noticing what life's trying to tell you, and asking questions, and, you know, that kind of thing. Columbo's got a dodgy eye. Do you think that them upstairs is thinking, right, you want to do Columbo? We'll show you Columbo. We'll give you a dodgy eye.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Do you want the biblical verse?
Yes.
If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than your whole body to be thrown into hell. Matthew
Yes, Kenny.
5:29.
No time like the present.
No.
Do you want some help?
Yeah.
Luckily, that's the right eye. I'm okay with my right
Of
eye, so you
course.
can stay where you
Ooh.
are. Things are safe. And suddenly it works again. Isn't that strange? So no fear, thanks.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. I hate having a full bladder and not knowing where to go, especially in the winter. Because in the
Toilet.
winter, I need to go. But, you know, there aren't toilets everywhere. And by the time, you know, underground, and then it's like, where's the even in coffee shops and places. It's like there aren't enough, and they wonder why there aren't more older men on the streets. Where are you supposed to take your prostates? Do you know what I mean? There need to be more toilets because, and I know a lot of older men where when they come to men's groups, they sit near the door and they have to nip out and go and have a pee. If they go to the cinema or if they go to a theatre, they think twice. Will there be an interval? Will I last? Where shall I sit? People don't talk about this. And I pee a lot. I drink quite a lot, but I pee a lot. And in the cold, it happens more. And there's this thing, I don't know whether it's true, that if a child wasn't made safe in his life, then apparently the child's bladder doesn't fully develop. So big peers, I don't know, I think I was safe until Idi Amin and that lot tried to kill us. But other than that, I had a wonderful childhood.
That doesn't make sense to me.
It does.
It doesn't.
What, the
bladder thing?
The bladder thing.
Surely if you were more prone to danger, your bladder would be bigger. Because going to the bathroom, that's like a vulnerable state.
Is it?
Of course it is.
Not when you're a child, you just piss.
No, but I mean, you're quite vulnerable in that moment when you think about it.
Are you?
I think so. Yeah, of course you are.
As a child?
Just as anyone in general, as any animal, when you're going to the bathroom, you're in quite a vulnerable state.
But then why do kids always wet themselves when they're scared?
I think that's a reflex. So I'm talking about the more like survival thing, where it's, if I'm in danger, I would have a bigger, if I'm more prone to danger, I'd have a bigger bladder. Therefore, I don't need to go to the bathroom as much. Therefore, I have more time to hunt, run, and that doesn't make sense to me. If it seems the opposite.
So it sounds like we have a theme of pooing and peeing so far. This is outrageous. Shall we move on?
Let's move on.
I hate being distracted by my thoughts.
I thought you said by my producer.
Nope. I love being distracted by my inner DJs, and my inner DJs usually have hidden messages. I don't channel Chan. I channel Radio 1. I am wondering how to start. I wonder what the first round's going to be about.
Should we have a little ad break? Because I think Paul is here.
Is he?
I think so.
Let's do it.
So we're going to have a quick commercial break and we're going to go and grab Paul from upstairs.
We'll be right back. Well, bad news is that wasn't Paul. False alarm. Good news is I feel rejected. No, I don't really. But,
Good
strangely, it was almost, wasn't it?
Almost.
But, yeah, we've decided that we're going to do a round about rejection. What is this? I feel rejected when, or how I handle rejection, or how to overcome my relationship to rejection is. How's that? And then let's go from there. So you started the first one, James. Over to you, Bertie.
So my relationship to rejection. I don't know where to begin with that, really.
Or reword it, whatever works for you.
I could think about the last time I got rejected, or I don't know. Nothing's really coming to me.
Do you want to pass and come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my relationship with rejection is, it's not a positive one. I don't want to say it's a negative, but I find that it impacts me for sure. I definitely take it personally still, even though I hope that the work I've done over time would soften that blow. I definitely still feel it, and I think in many areas I feel like I've improved, but yet I still feel that the rejection, and I feel my ego chirping up when the rejection comes around. I think that's where I'm so. I feel it so much because I can hear my ego, and I've done a fairly good job of quieting my ego, but I hear it flaring up and trying to make other people wrong and all the excuses rather than just sitting with it and being like, hey, we're gonna. This is how it's gonna be. You're not always gonna win.
And you're specifically talking about girls in a romantic situation.
That I've had a couple of times this year where that's come up, yeah.
Right.
And
would you say that's the only place where this plays out?
No, it's definitely not the only place. I put my name in the ring for a few public speaking things and got emails back saying, "Oh no, you're right, thanks." And I'm a bit like, "What? You know, you never even heard me speak. Why are you rejecting me? You're not even, you know, like you surely give me a chance." And I feel that with girls actually as well. I'm like, you don't even know me. We haven't got into this yet. Like and it's almost a sort of I feel upset with society that we are scared to get underneath the skin. Sometimes
for me, and with girls and rejection, it's not what I want to talk about, but I resonate with that massively. Yeah. It's like you haven't even said, like, you haven't even given me a chance. No. You haven't even let me crack a joke. Yeah. You know, it's like, fair enough if I crack a joke and it's not funny. I'm like, okay, we don't match. But it's like you've just immediately palmed me off. Yeah. I'm like, well, thanks, love.
Yeah.
You know?
And what do you two feel? What part of you do you think they're rejecting? Is it
me?
Yeah.
For me, you know, I think it's just an initial appearance they just don't like.
For you, it's looks.
For me, it's a looks thing. Yeah.
Right. And for you?
I want to say I don't know. A lot of the time, I don't know. I think there's a lot of cocktails involved in chemistry.
Right.
And I don't know, and that's kind of part of it. I think where I struggle with rejection is the not knowing and not understanding. And I just want to, in this day and age, we'll just hide away, you know, it's ghosting or whatever, and it leaves the questions, and that leaves you to dwell.
Can I just ask one quick thing?
Yeah.
Is if you could try the I's rather than the U's and the We's.
Sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
the only reason is I generally find that when you say you, then I kind of think, is that me? And so far, when you've said it, it's not.
Yeah.
And also, I feel you more when you say I.
Own it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to. I'm sorry I haven't, because
that's cool.
That's usually, you know, it's important to me. But yeah, so
none of these girls have said why they rejected you.
No, and I like to try and get to the bottom of it. Actually, with one of them in the summer, I was a bit like, you know, we're having a great time. Suddenly, obviously, something's changed, and I'm just intrigued to know what it is. I'm a big enough guy to know. I'd love to, for my own sort of progression and understanding. And I'm not saying you're right, and it's not going to define me. But I'd love to hear from your understanding or from your perspective what the issue was, just so I'm aware, and then I can go, cool, thanks, I get it. You know, all the best kind of thing. But when you don't know, you're churning out. You're trying to work it out. Your ego's alive, trying to find out, get control and understand the situation. Well, my ego is in control.
Wait a minute.
That's him.
There's Paul.
There we go.
That's him.
Can I open the door?
Man, this is live.
Here's Paul.
Walking into a live.
Come on in. How are you doing? We were talking about you behind your back.
Excellent.
You're looking healthy. What a relief.
Come
right.
on.
Hi. Appears I'm late.
Yeah. But hey.
Apologies.
No worries. Do you need to do like fancy sound check, or can you do it on the fly?
I'm good. I can do it on the fly.
Right. While you do it on the fly, Paul, do you fancy reading the ground rules?
Yep.
Do you need water or...
If there's a drop of water there, that would be great.
Is there a... Yes, we have a receptacle. So while you read that, we were deep in rejection.
Oh, good.
So how about we carry on with what you're saying, and then we'll let Paul check in with the check-in round, and then we'll carry on. Does that work for everyone?
Cool. Yeah, sure.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't remember where I was at now, but yeah, rejection from girls.
Just an initial thought, like when you're talking about what you said to these girls to find out about rejection. Yeah. If you'd said that to me, and if I was a girl and we'd been dating or something, I would have been like, you sound like quite fragile, and I wouldn't want to actually tell you. Yeah. Just the way you asked the question. Yeah. It sounded quite like, if I actually tell you something, you're going to be hurt.
Yeah. It's quite the opposite. It's like, I'm ready, and I'm not taking it personally. I'm for my own growth.
I'm sure you are, but it's just the way it came across.
That's your experience.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, look, I don't, to be honest, know how I shared it right then, but obviously it's done differently in person with a girl than we're just talking about it now. But I appreciate what you're saying, and I don't know, maybe it is the same. I don't know, but
I've got a slightly different take in that when I am, and I'd be interested on how you are at your boundaries, rejecting people or not. Yeah. But when I'm rejecting someone or ending a relationship or changing the boundaries and the structure of the relationship, I'm trying to disengage, not engage more intimately. I'm trying to leave. And I guess my fear might be that now I'm going to have to get into some deep explanation, and she is going to be doing a sales pitch, and I'm going to have to argue. It's like there's an old song, a very old song, and the title is, this is just so rude, Get Your Tongue Out of My Mouth, I'm Trying to Kiss You Goodbye.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah, totally. But like, I think it's really interesting that you say that, because no one's asking for any depth, or no one's asking to go into a long conversation, or asking for a detailed explanation and a deep conversation about it. It's just, hey, let's just say, I don't fancy you, and you go, great, thanks a lot, all the best, see you later on.
Right.
No dramas, no kind of, oh my God, just, oh, thanks, I appreciate that. That's, that gives them a bit of clarity.
Yeah.
Off we go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But
But then if it was me,
Yeah.
then I would have fantasies of whatever it is I say, I'm going to be seduced into further engagement, and I'm trying to get out of here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just perception, isn't it? I think this is the thing with society, is that we're scared of just being real and having saying the real thing in a simple way. Actually, how it is.
I feel my bubble's different.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I'm different
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah.
So it's
Interesting.
like, I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
It's not for me or the people around me.
No.
For some reason, it
Which
used
bit?
to be. The people around me will give me information and are not scared of depth and truth and that kind of thing.
Nice.
In fact, they feel better at being heard than having to disconnect and leave things in the air. That's, I'd say, much more my reality. And not just in men's groups, friends and just people. It's, I guess, how it works in my world, more often than not.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you lot? How does it work in your worlds?
What, rejection or just the communication?
People giving, communication.
Well, it's funny because of what, I kind of agree with Ben, where it's like I would love to get an answer from someone about like why you rejected me, but I just feel like you're never going to get it. So I always turn to my friends to say like, okay, where do you think I went wrong, etc. I do that kind of typical macho debrief of like, this is what happened, did I go wrong here? So I'm kind of like you, where it's like I have, I'm okay to sort of open up and share with people, but I don't know. I think rejection is a good thing. I think it makes you, I think it's a good thing. I think if you can embrace it and be with it, and it's just like you said, if you could just know how I could come back stronger, bigger and better next time, it's like, I'd be happy for that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I wonder
that's exactly what I'm saying. Sorry, it's like if you don't know, you've got no opportunity to grow. And it's like, hey, I'm man enough to take, it's not a problem. Just let me know, and I've got the opportunity to move forward. If you don't give me anything, then it's a rejection.
I think
I'm still wondering.
That's such a guy thing to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Can I come in?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, how about you quickly check in?
Yeah, okay.
And then we know you, and then we're all in, because I can see you're dying to come in.
Okay, so my name is Paul Atherton. I feel very, very confused today. My diary's been cheating on me. I used one of these electronic devices and Google decided to tell me it was a 3:00 start. What I want from this group is a progression of my mental state. I'm currently in, how should we say it? An abstraction at the moment. My life doesn't feel real, and it would be good to sort of reground, as it were. My age is 51. My Chinese sign is monkey. My Western sign is Pisces, Aries, cusp. My sexuality is straight. I am single. The last time I cried is years ago, and I can't actually remember when. I didn't even cry at my mother's funeral. The last time I ejaculated was this morning. My greatest fear right now is loneliness. I hate stupidity. I always hate stupidity. I love London, and I love passion. I am turmolic right now.
Good word. What does it mean?
My life's in turmoil. So there's a lot of external.
What is, because I was saying before you came in that I had concern about you, and we were talking about homelessness, I was talking about your health, and I was having all sorts of crazy fantasies of why you're not here.
You can blame Google for that, actually.
Right.
It's as straightforward as I put this in my calendar, and for whatever reasons, Google moved it till 3 o'clock. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll be here at 2:30. So chilled. I was like, where are they? And ironically bumped into somebody I knew upstairs who I thought was coming down.
Right.
Which really threw everything. But anyway, I'm with you. I think... And I don't think it's a machismo thing. I think it's an intelligent thing. I think if you don't have an ability to absorb and learn, and you need information to do that, to move on to the next thing, you're going to repeat the exercise. Or more importantly, you don't get told that actually it isn't you. Because more often than not, breakups happen just because they happen. There isn't a blame on either side as much as we want to apportion it.
Like outgrowing each other.
It could be you're never actually right for each other. We get a physical attraction, we get a sexual attraction to people. We then blur that with the emotion. And I think females blur that way more than guys do. There was that sort of great adage when, if you have sex with a woman, I had sex with a woman once, she goes, oh, God, my God, you must love me now because I came. And I was like, no. But that in her head, that was it. I'd spent time concerned about her, which was just purely a physical act and something I enjoyed and something she enjoyed, but it was nothing emotional for me. But because her physical reaction to that was something she hadn't experienced, she then interpreted that as an emotional reaction. And I think that becomes a problem. I don't think we necessarily distinguish the two.
And it's different for different people.
Absolutely, yeah, totally and utterly. And I think this is part of the problem. That, sometimes we go into relationships and we may have a whole bundle of baggage that has gone, right, okay, I've done this, I've done that, I've experienced this, I've experienced that, I've chosen this. And that other person may be still looking at you as she looked at other boyfriends or other partners and going, oh, well, I see you like this. So you've actually got a clash of ideas where you're coming in going, right, I've sorted all this is what I want, I'm prepared to work at this to make this happen. And she's still going through, I need the fantasy boyfriend or whatever it is. And until you have that information, I personally don't get closure. I can't close it down. And sometimes you can't. You have to walk away, as you were saying, otherwise you just get embroiled in it. But ultimately, if I have to do that, it's going to take me much longer to recover than if I can sit down and go, okay, this just was never going to work and I'm okay with that. I can step away.
Yeah, I understand that. For me, it's such a guy thing to want to deconstruct it. That's what I meant. And to understand it better as opposed to just moving on, like you say.
So here's an option, because I think we're at some level talking about intellectually understanding.
Yeah.
And I wonder, to get a little cosmic and emotional for a second, to get into that feeling of rejection and the nastiness of it, or the unfairness, it sounds, the abandonment of it, because there's no closure, there's no completion. Get into that feeling and maybe take a breath, feel the feeling, follow the feeling back, and in a split second, where does it take you? Well, when does it take you? Any idea?
I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing either.
Yeah.
I invite it all the time.
Rather than staying with whether it's good or bad, I just wonder, what's the scene of the crime? Where does it take you back to? Because I believe whatever it is that's going on for me now is an invitation to go back to the source of something and retrieve that part back. Take care of that wounded child or split, fractured, what do you call it? What's that word I keep using?
Broken spirit.
That's the one. It's damn good, eh? But it is. It's like, where is my spirit broken that I've been carrying around? And life is saying, here's an opportunity to heal that. So it's up to me to take care of that little boy in me rather than get involved in the drama in hand. And I believe that if I retrieve myself from the pain, then there is more love, and then I will surely attract more love. And that's not necessarily exclusive, conditional love, because then it's not so much maybe about rejection, but maybe it's about, totally different if it was my wife and I. That's a committed relationship, or my best friends, or Bertie or James or whatever. It's like we have we have a thing going on.
I
But
thought
if
we were
it's
going to break in song and dance. That was my
Copyright, ladies and gentlemen, copyright.
but relationships are allowed to flow, and it's really painful sometimes when I outgrow people, or people outgrow me, or people are scared of me or angry at
But
me.
is that
or
rejection? No, it's not, I would argue, because that's just outgrowing someone. That's just moving
You're
on.
right.
That's just life evolving.
You're right.
Rejection, it's like, you go up for the shot and then it's just they bat it away.
Yeah,
That is what rejection is. And it's the same, you go up and ask a girl for a drink and she goes, no, leave me alone, you creep. That's it, you've been batted away. Or you apply for a job. That is rejection.
But-
and that isn't a bad thing, if you ask me.
But isn't the end of something committed, whether it's a friendship or a relationship in sort of boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, if it ends, for whatever reason it ends, isn't that by definition a rejection of you?
No,
No.
because because we've already spent that time together. We've already been together in a place. It's just
that's part of the relationship.
that's part of the relationship. All things must end. That's all it is. It's just the end.
Yeah, but the end by definition will feel like a rejection.
It
surely.
depends on your perception of it, doesn't it? I think the way I try and perceive it always is that it's just the energies don't match, and that's their energy and your energy. And if you authentically want to be yourself, then sometimes your energy is not going to match someone else's, and
But
that's
at
cool.
that moment. At that moment,
But-
because
but-
it might
but
change very quickly.
It might change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I suppose the point I'm trying to make is, does the emotional feeling in that moment differentiate between whether you rationalize it or whether it's completely irrational?
Well,
Yeah, well, I mean, like our thoughts will create the emotions, so our thoughts around it will determine how we feel about it. So definitely, how you perceive it will be impacting exactly that. But
So is that like, I have done everything right,
yeah,
therefore it's not fair that I'm being rejected unless you give me the information so I can...
no, it's
something.
not. And do you know what? In this conversation, there was so much to say. Actually, on it, it's been so interesting. But the big thing I think for me is rejection without understanding.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me when you're left, because I think when you said it's a man thing, such a man thing to want. I think it's a human
Yeah,
thing.
I
Our
agree,
ego
I
is
agree.
programmed to
Totally.
work things out and logical, because it wants to keep us safe. It wants an understanding. The better understanding it's got, the safer we are.
Yeah.
So that's why I think all of us instinctively, if we're unsure and we've got rejected, then we are going to try and work out, well, what's going on? What's this all about?
Really agree. Like,
No.
I had a moment quite recently where I was like, I was meeting a girl, and it was like, I said, she was kind of like, what are you looking for? And I was like, well, I'm looking to make friends, and I'm also looking for something more.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'm just looking for friendship. And I didn't try and work it out. I didn't try and understand why she didn't want more.
But
just
sorry to interrupt you, isn't that in itself her giving you that closure?
Yeah, you just got
In
it.
herself,
You don't
she's
need to
saying,
work
I
it
don't
out.
want any, I just want to be friends.
Yeah.
So you're like,
Exactly.
okay, fine. I don't need to.
So
Okay,
she set
Yeah,
the
you've got
parameters
it.
of the relationship before it even was created.
Right,
there you
What
go.
we're kind of talking about is if you were like, I'm looking for friendship, I'm looking for something more, and she was like, oh, and just got up and left.
Yeah.
And it's like, why the hell did you just leave?
Right.
Yeah, then you're
okay.
there for questions.
Yeah,
and
then
you're
it's
going
like,
to dwell.
Yeah.
What the hell
Fair
happened?
enough. Yeah.
You know,
That's- I
and
agree with
then you start
Yeah.
doing that, where did I go
I'd
wrong?
probably
Yeah.
think she's someone I don't really want to understand, though. Like, I'd think that's just rude. And
In that
why would I
moment,
wanna-
in that moment, would you?
What if you'd
So
spent
sure.
2 really nice dates with her, and then the third one, you're like, oh, this is nice, it's progressing, and then you raise that, and then she goes, oh, I don't know, and she's off.
Sorry, it's
yeah, that would
I just
be.
picture it.
Exactly.
I love every
Exactly.
person in this room's going, yeah.
Yeah, I would be confused. I
Exactly.
Probably would be her.
And you dwell, and you question it, and was that me,
I don't
or
know.
could I have done
Again,
things
I
differently?
think if she cut off contact after that, and that was her last contact, I don't think she's a decent person.
Totally.
No.
And why would I want her? I'm glad she didn't like me. I would have to. If she did like me, then and we got into a relationship, I'd been in this relationship with this
Crazy woman.
crazy woman who gets up and goes, I don't know, and walks off.
Exactly.
Totally.
And
So-
I think I'm similar to you, and maybe it's not really my conversation to take part in, because I haven't often put myself in a position to be rejected by a woman anyway. I just hang out and kind of like women have happened type thing. So I'm not sure I can relate to this.
So it must be so hard. Must be so hard.
Our hearts all bleed.
It's all bleed. Huh?
But, you know, oh Lord, how do I dig myself out of this? But I guess in that situation, for me, it would be, if that's who you are, or that's how you are, then why would I want to know or be with you anyway?
But maybe they do that because they don't want to offend you or hurt you or to, like, you know, feel bad towards you. Maybe they think, like, okay, if I just walk away from this situation, it's the typical thing, like, if I just run away from it, the problem's solved. Maybe that's what they're seeing. It's like this guy wants to take this relationship to another stage.
But you guys have just said, like, it's more painful when you don't know.
No, but I'm saying that's maybe what they're thinking. And I think that, because that's what I think it's a very masculine thing to say, like, why didn't this go wrong? You know, I have to deconstruct it, I have to understand it. Whereas, you know, maybe the more feminine thing is like, okay, if I just...
No, I disagree.
Yeah, and
No.
like, surely a woman would think the same if a guy got
Exactly.
up after.
Well,
2 dates.
I think that's true, but I also think it's less likely. You know, most of my friends are female. And most of the narrative that I get is, oh, well, I had to sleep with him because I couldn't figure a way of leaving him without upsetting him. Yeah, I hear that a lot. That's not an unusual occurrence. It's like, well, we got drunk. I got back to his place. You know, I was there. I felt obligated. And you're kind of going, you mad?
Exactly.
And then the next morning, they go, well, he's hassling me. I don't understand why he's ringing me.
Oh my God.
You know, and that genuinely, that's not uncommon. And you know, this is from people I respect, and you know, they suddenly find themselves in this odd. And I think it is 21st century dating is a completely different anathema to what it was 20 years ago, because now, you know, with things like Plenty of Fish and Tinder and things, the incidence of hookup now, the idea of not even having a conversation before you have sex has became for a while normal parlance. I think it's balancing itself back now. I think people have gone, okay, that was stupid, I don't know what I was thinking. But still, nonetheless, you have a culture there. You know, I had a 20-something-year-old friend that was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to meet this guy in a flat to have sex. I'll see you in about an hour. And I was like, have you met him? Nope. Yeah, it's like, all right.
I guess that's a really, really, really new aspect that I'm not familiar with, personally, where it's dating is a tick box and rejection is nothing personal. It's just a swipe.
But it's even worse than that now, because obviously there's this term ghosting, which has become an accepted norm to end relationships. So, you know, going back to your point, it's like you're kind of going, well, I'm going to end this relationship, but I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to stop communicating with you and block you on all my social media.
And that's the worst.
bit.
That's the bit. Because that's like, why...
What the hell?
Yeah, exactly. You just have a big question mark. And it's like, that would... For me, personally, that bothers me. Because it's like, then I go into my head and I'm like, well, I said this. Was it this? Well, I did this. Was it this? And that's
totally
terrible.
And that's hurtful, isn't it? You sit there in your own thoughts, which isn't a nice place to live. And I totally, it's very easy, I think, to sit and go, yeah, but you've learned about the real them, and they're not right.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you might have had 2 or 3 really great dates. You've got on brilliantly. A new guy came storming in who was her dream thing, and while you were good, you weren't him. And so she's just gone, oh yeah, I'm kind of going to have to park him for a bit, and so let's just sort of stop replying to him because I'm going to go find out about this guy. And you're sitting there going, what the hell?
Like awful,
We've had,
though.
but you don't know that, and you totally yes, but all you know is you've had 2 brilliant experiences with her. She's, you know, you felt you connected with her, great. All you're asking for her to say is like, look, we had a brilliant time. There is someone else on the scene. No offense to you, but I'm just going to sort of see what's going on there, and you go, okay, cool, I get it. I don't need to dwell on that.
It's an interesting thought. Say they ghost you for a bit, and then, you know, like a month later, you see they're in another relationship. Is that the closure you want? Would that connect the dots for you? Would you be like, oh, that's why it kind of ended?
Yeah.
Or would you be like hurt because you said that?
Or
Both.
would it
Emphatically both. Because no, I mean, because your first reaction is, oh, well, that explains everything.
That explains it. Yeah, that's my bit of closure.
And then the other thing is that actually she didn't. I must have done something to be really horrible for her to not have the decency to tell me.
Or she doesn't have. Yeah, she doesn't have the emotional capacity to.
Whatever
be
it
truthful
is, it still leaves me discovering it as a surprise, and my initial reaction to that would be hurt.
Yeah, I think the initial reaction is, because you're always going to be hurt, because obviously there was something there, and now you're like, okay, well, you know, clearly it didn't work out. But I think part of it is, like, closure. You kind of understand it.
Yeah,
but the thing, in all honesty, again, it comes back to what Ben said. Just tell me 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was my
yeah.
point. If you can sit down and you can address it face to face, and I think we've become less adept at that, of doing that in the last decade or so.
Totally.
I don't think people are taught how to communicate. I don't think people make eye contact anymore. I don't think they understand body language anymore. This staring at phones and this connectivity through a third-person device has actually disconnected us. So it makes it acceptable. I mean, it wouldn't have been acceptable 10 years ago. The idea of suddenly going, "Oh, I've ended it. I'm just not going to call him again."
It becomes so much easier as well. It's acceptable. It's like so much easier because I would just not reply.
Don't need to deal with anything.
I just don't need to do anything. Yeah,
It would just fade away.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm getting what you're saying more and more, and I guess the reason I didn't get it is because I just don't know this world.
No.
And I don't know online dating, and I don't know people who are disconnected and that dispose of in such ways.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether you need to, I don't know, we need to start a club that's offline of people who have never used a computer so we can connect properly.
Yeah.
Because what are computers doing? This is just like, wow. And I get all the fantasies of, did this happen? Did that happen? Is it me? It must be me. And sadly, most people I work with do come in, whether it's men's groups or privately, with what's wrong with me. How do I fix me? How do I do me better? Because something's not working. This is heavy. Right, do you know what? We have less than 2 minutes. I'm curious so far, right here and now,
Just
for a very...
break, isn't it?
Yeah, this is just for a break.
Yeah.
For a very, very quick round of how I feel right now. Just fancy starting, Bertie?
Schwitz. Sorry.
Schwitz. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. Sorry, you asked Bertie first, but
Well,
I jumped in.
Thanks for that timely ejaculation. Over to you, Bertie.
Excited.
Still immensely confused, but glad to be here.
I'm feeling... I'm trying to think what the word is. Intrigued, slightly challenged. Sure.
I feel quite upset. This just feels horrible. I'm not sure that I can think about it too much. It just feels horrible. It's more a feeling than a thought for me. But interesting, because during this
horrible,
the way that people treat each other, the experience that you've been through, the way that people communicate, don't communicate, abandon each, it's just like it feels like a computer program.
Yeah.
It's inhuman. It's not the
the
world.
21st century.
Yeah, I'm going to so thicken. I'm going to double glaze and lag my bubble wall because I like my world. And what you're talking about is not the kind of world I want to live in.
No.
And I wonder how to, in 23 seconds, live into this world more and make the bubble grow. Because surely, listen to us, we must have the power to live this into being rather than being a so-called victim to this. And now it's time for a break.
I'm Kenny Mammarella-D'Cruz, and you're listening to the MenSpeak men's group radio episode. Is that good job?
That's crap.
That's rejection. How does that feel?
So what's so bad
Is
about
the
it?
voice of Kenny Mammarella-D'Cruz.
I can't compete with that.
Hello, darlings. Reject this. So, do you know what? This is not... actually, I guess there are men's groups like this where it just gets into everyone, chats about things, but it's not normal.
Really. I don't know if I've been in a men's group like this.
It's rare.
Yeah.
And we've
It's very
kind
animated.
It is.
But, yeah. Very
And-
back and forth and like...
And also what people generally do in a men's group is go around in the circle and talk about their experience of rejection. What has hurt, what has worked, what
Less
hasn't
irritable.
worked. Exactly. It's not in the head and figuring it out. It's feeling it and learning from each other's experiences.
Should we do that?
Let's do that. And would it be... Because you two wanted to move on to the work rejection thing. Shall we leave the women rejection in a pink bubble for now?
Right into...
How do you guys want to move forward? What would work?
You the man, Kenny, you tell me.
I'll follow whatever you tell us.
Why don't you keep it open so... what is it? When I don't know how to.
I think we should go around
Yeah.
doing that.
What's the
individual.
question? What's the question?
When have you experienced a big rejection, and
Okay.
how do you?
How about the way I've positively responded to the 3 ways I have positively responded to rejection are?
Cool.
How's that?
Sounds good.
Who fancies starting?
Can we open the door?
At your own risk,
No.
because people could walk past and etc. etc.
Never mind.
Is
Why
it
are
too
you,
hot?
Are you proper schwitz?
It's pretty hot.
It is a
And
bit.
it's a bit smelly when you come out and come back in.
We
Sorry.
didn't bring our spray,
I'm
did
sure
we?
it's me as well.
I don't believe that you're sure it's you. You're just being polite
As
aren't
well,
you?
I said.
Okay.
About 10%.
Does anyone remember that question?
3
What are 3
positive-
positives you have responded to rejection?
Yeah.
You're looking at me as if you want me to
Start.
If you
To
feel
start.
ready.
So, in terms of relationships, I'm normally the one getting rejected, unfortunately. So I can't. Do you mean in that sense of like how when I've been rejected, how do I carry on, or when I've rejected somebody, what feedback do I give them?
What is a positive way that you've responded, either inside of yourself
to being rejected.
or outside to
being
another?
rejected, or to
Yeah.
giving rejection?
Being rejected. We could do a giving rejection later, because then we can be both victim and perpetrator.
I need to think about it a little bit. I mean, if we talk in the work world,
Mm-hmm.
whenever I've been rejected for an opportunity and they don't give me a reason why, which is 99% of the time, I tend to just go back to the drawing board and like rewrite my CV, rewrite my cover letter, think about how I can do this differently, and I get very introverted and very introspective.
So you try and fix it, but
Yeah.
you haven't had the feedback to fix it.
I just
with.
know that something wasn't right,
Right.
and I need to change my formula.
Right.
So I'll go back and I'll just try and change my formula, and that normally starts with a blank page and, you know, rewriting my work experience or rewriting my skills and stuff like that, and then I'll take it from there.
Cool.
Which I think is, you know, you could read into that as much as you want, but it's very.
So that's number 1.
That's number 1. I'll take 2 there. Thank you.
Oh, really?
I'll take 2
Okay.
there.
You want 2, you can
I'll
have
take
2.
2.
Buy 1, get 1 free.
In terms of relationships, I'm very bad at rejection.
Mm.
Very, very bad. I don't know if I could give you a positive,
Mm.
because I tend to just sort of go home and hate myself.
And
big
if
time.
that's the truth and that's how far it's gone for right now, then that's fine.
Yeah, I'm very, very. You know me. I'm a very sensitive boy. So if I get rejected by a member of the opposite sex, it's a lot of self-hate and self-doubt.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a positive one for you there, Kenny. Sorry.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Bertie.
So, well, when we were talking about rejection and like when it's happened, I remembered like one big
His
rejection.
mic's
I
not
know.
working.
He's just broken his mic, hasn't he?
Have I?
Not you. Let me have a fiddle. Should we move on to something?
Okay, shall I pick
All right,
up?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much of the same ilk. Breakups to me are devastating, even minor ones, and it frustrates me. And I've tried to address it in a variety of different ways over the years. I think it's inherent to being abandoned. I think, you know, I was abandoned when I was a few weeks old. So I think any relationship that ends is me feeling those emotions come flooding back. I usually have to deal with a level of insanity for a period of time. But I think fundamentally, if I couldn't name, could I name 3? Yeah, I could name 3. Okay, the first thing is I accept that I've got to have a period of mourning. I hope it's short, but it doesn't always necessarily equate. But I now know that that's part of the process, whereas previously I battled against it, and it was like, no, I've got to get back on, you know, whatever it was. The second thing is I invariably now conclude it's not me, it's us, which is a very different experience to what I used to have. But again, this is rationalizing. So emotionally, in that moment, I'm hurt, lonely, dissolute, confused, and angry, generally in that order. And then it's just time. It's, you know, I try and be proactive in certain aspects and accept that in others it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter what I try and do. It's just literally going to be a period of time to heal. I try not to do the jumping into sex thing, although that was my general reaction previously. It was always like, okay, I've broken up with somebody, let's try and get the next person into bed, and that doesn't necessarily have to lead anywhere, but at least somebody is attracted to me
and
still.
You know you're okay.
Yeah.
Not feeling...
Which is, you know, just as nonsensical. You know, there's no validity to that in truth if you actually examine it, but it makes you feel better in a moment.
Yeah.
It usually has an after impact, but it does at least makes you feel, oh, okay, there's still people out there for me, which I think is the general feeling everybody kind of goes into. Is it was that the last chance? I mean, the last relationship I was in, it started off with her asking me, did I want to get married? And it was something I'd spent 20 years being absolutely averse to. And then I decided that I wanted to enter a long-term relationship. And I said, well, if that's what it takes to achieve a long-term relationship, then we'll do that. And that relationship took a very, very, very strange turn.
Why?
Because, you know, sometimes people hear what they want to hear and ignore the rest. So there were things I told her, but she discovered them as she felt on her own accord, and it was like this revelation. But it had been completely upfront from day one. So obviously everybody knows I'm homeless here. And one of the reasons I started dating her is because she said she'd been homeless. So I was like, okay, so we, you know, you know what this is about. You know, I haven't got to try and explain the context of anything. And you know, I've been homeless for 10 years, but that 10-year duration hasn't been me just being on the street. There's been a whole run of gambits of alternative sort of locations that I've stayed in, whether it's night shelters or temporary accommodation or living in my car or whatever it is. But she heard me giving a speech, or actually she saw a title of a speech that basically had the words 10 years homeless and reacted to that. And then it was like, well, I can't see you anymore. My mother wouldn't understand me telling her somebody, you know, and it was like, whoa, hang on. You started this relationship off with going, would you get married to me? And we're now going, oh, I found out a little piece of information that actually you gave me in the first email communication we had, that now has changed my perception of how I will be perceived by other people.
Yeah.
That's what, can I use it? Yeah. Piss me off.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, hang on a minute. If that's all it is, because, you know, I've taken you, I don't have any money, but I've taken you to Amsterdam for a long weekend. We've done this. We've eaten at chef's table in a variety of high class restaurants. You know, things that most people, even with money, couldn't achieve. But somehow this perception of oh, well, this is Paul, this is my boyfriend, he's homeless, and what that actually means, regardless of what the reality is, that was the thing that hooked her up. So yeah. Anyway, that's enough of me, I think.
Thank you. Bertie, is your mic fixed?
Testing 1 2.
Yeah.
Check.
Look
Cool.
at that. Ace producer.
Yeah.
Crap voice, ace producer.
And it's kind of like pointing this way.
You
again,
can gently, not by the cable, definitely not what you're doing right now.
Like this?
Like that, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
right.
And then we can hear you.
Great. Yeah, I was going to talk about like quite a big rejection that I went through was it was like at university. Yeah, and there was this girl who I kind of met on the day one, and I was like immediately like, this is my kind of girl. She like totally got my sense of humor. And why are you giving me this?
Because your microphone isn't working again.
Fuck it.
So we're going to swap you over for that one.
Yeah, she totally got
hi,
like
Kenny.
everything about me, and my sense of humor, and I hadn't met a girl like her before, and she was in a relationship, and I think it was like 6 months in or like a year in, they broke up, and she told me this in person, and then she just the way she was acting, she was like, maybe something could happen between us. So we went on a couple of dates, and we ended up kissing, and then kind of the day after that, she kind of just began to ignore me, and like fobbed me off when I asked her to like go and do stuff and things like that. So I never did find out, what it was or anything like that. And I was going through the exact things you're talking about. It's like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? And I think the conclusion I came to was that, it must have just been like a rebound sort of thing. And she kind of regretted it. It wasn't what she was looking for in the end, and she kind of just wanted to try it out and see if it worked, and it didn't. I really don't blame her, because I was a bit of a basket case, to use your word, back in those days. Like, I was just obsessed, almost by this girl, and I was like, I was basically thinking, she's going to cure my depression and all my issues, and like, if we're just together, then, everything will be okay. But yeah, so I was in a really bad place, and I guess she probably sniffed it out as another thing as well. Like, I think I tried to, play it cool, but I think she could feel it, that I wasn't happy or anything like that. So the way I've learned to manage my response to rejection, I think, has been maybe what I was I guess I was trying to explain it to you, Ben, but like, I guess I stated it as if it was like obvious. It's like, you just do this, but it's obvious for me. But obviously, I was thinking as I was having a pee, it's like, it's probably not obvious for like a lot of other people. And it's like, for me, if there's someone that, it's Kenny's thing. It's like, if I don't want to be like someone, and if someone I don't want to be like doesn't like me, then that's a good sign. So that's like a big thing. It's like, if they don't have the decency to, have like, when you've established a connection, and then to say, this is actually it's not working because, or I just want to be friends. It's like, I don't care. I just don't care like about that person's like feelings and thoughts towards me. It's not something I think about much, but it's just I just don't care anymore. That's definitely something I've had to train myself to do.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, now
So, do you know?
getting confusing.
It so is. I so get that, and now I can really start feeling shit about this conversation, because I remember a couple of things. And yeah, there are positive ways to respond to this, and that feeling sucks. Fuck, it's devastatingly emotional. It's illogical. It's really emotional. And that is the bit that I was saying to you earlier about follow the feeling back and take care of that child. And that's part of it. It's not necessarily all of it, but it's definitely part of it, because I always want to know what's triggered me. Because otherwise, I'm going to carry that shit around, and that shit is going to attract the same old flies. I'm going to carry that baggage around, and that baggage is going to attract the same old scripts to prove me right about the negative beliefs I have about myself, unless I follow the feeling back to where my depressed pause button is down, is stuck, and I retrieve that. So I'd say emotionally, that's the power I have, so I don't keep repeating that. But that's not to negate the feeling of rejection, because it sucks. It hurts.
And I think, on top of that, it's like, I've had to learn how to, I think, like you said, it's like I had to learn how to love myself, and
rather than someone else doing it for you.
Yeah, and that definitely takes the sting out of rejection for me. It's like I don't care about it like nearly as much as I used to, just because I've got myself. I love myself. I have fun by myself. I've got friends, and I can just hang out with them, and it's all right. It's like I don't need a woman in my life
to fill an emotional hole.
Yeah,
because you're whole.
Yeah.
Wow, good on you, Bertie.
Anything else? Or do you feel done for now?
I think, feel done.
Ben?
I think, to be honest, there's been a bit of a misunderstanding in this conversation, because we're saying very much the same thing. But, if we're talking about the positives that we take from rejection, I mean, absolutely, mine is that we're not here to be for everybody. And I retain my authenticity and continuing on my journey, knowing that whoever's rejected me was not right for me in that space. And I didn't try and change myself for them and end up in a relationship and trying to be someone that I wasn't to cater for their pleasure, or to create a relationship between the two of us, and then living with a mask on for years, which is damaging to myself. It's just, hey, it's and in that moment when that doesn't work out, it's sad, it's a shame. It's not to say, hey, it's still a shame. You had hopes. This is a wonderful person. I met this lovely girl. She's really great. Okay, now I found out about her truth, and I understand she's not great, and we're not meant to be together. Still a shame. It's still a shame, and in that moment it hurts. And then you go, cool, wasn't meant to be. On we go. I'm going to authentically show up, and there's going to be someone in my life who is right in the future, and I can't wait for those sparks to fly. But it's still a shame that it wasn't that person, because I was getting excited for a minute there, and I had some of these hopes, and that was kind of exciting, and it didn't pan out that way. So for me, I mean, we're saying very similar things. It's retain your authenticity. I think when you love yourself and you love what you're about, you continue to show up with the belief and knowing that the right person is going to come in, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. But in that moment, the feeling is raw at that time. And for me, it's especially raw when you don't have a conclusion, or you don't have the closure to give you the ability to walk away and go, oh, that's what it was. No dramas. We weren't right. Cool. On we go. But when you're left hanging and you're like, oh, what was it? Then that's the challenge for me. It's like, and that's, I feel, as I say, I think some of the sadness comes that it's indicative of society, that we live in that space, that there isn't the relationships, the authentic connection in relationships for people to sit down and say hard things with each other that we don't necessarily want to say. And it's not niceties, but it's the truth, and it allows us all to live in a far more connected world where we respect each other, and we're not all necessarily the same and best friends and lovers, but we all know where we stand, and there's an honest connection. And that's what I think saddens me, is that, as we said earlier, most people just would take the easy route and ghost and just sort of not own it. And I have to put my hands up. I've done that. So it all comes around.
Why have you done that?
Because it's easier. I don't do it now.
Right.
I'll own up. I've totally owned up to that. But in my 20s, it's way easier.
So that was the old you.
For sure, yeah. And
so I wonder if you're attracting people who aren't as aware or respect, whether you're attracting you from then for some reason.
That's where I think is the disappointment is at its rawest, when you think that you've met someone who is in that space, and you're like, oh, we can get to have these conversations, and you enter that space and you show yourself, and then they go, whoa, and they run off, and you're like, I thought we could go there together. Yeah. And actually they weren't ready.
I thought you were one of us.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just one of them.
And you can see it that they want to be, but they're not brave enough to enter the space quite yet.
Wannabe's not an is it?
No,
it's
no.
And that hurts. And listening to what you were saying, I can so feel that. And for me, my grief can as much be a loss of my fantasies than what's actually been. Because I just so get into, we'll do this and it'll be like that and then this. And, I've lived this relationship more than she could ever Lady, you're in for a treat. What are you doing? What are you saying? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And something that you said, Paul, really triggered me as well, about the not hearing what's been blatantly said. And I remember in my early 20s, I hadn't that long been in London, and I was going out with this hottie, and her name was Mandy, and we really, really loved each other. She was, I don't know, probably 5 years older. And she told me right from the beginning that I was a bit on the side. And it didn't make any sense, because when we were together, it was bliss. But I was a bit on the side. And I was a bit on the side probably for a couple of years, while her
ugly, stupid twat of a boy. I'm not one to judge, as you know. Was at Manchester Uni. And then he came back. And I remember we were in a pub in Cricklewood sobbing, both of us. And it's like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. How can you reject me after who we are and how we are and the fun we've had and all of that? And she was really confused. It's like, yeah, you're right, but he's my boyfriend and this was supposed to be and blah, blah, blah. So it was hell. It was absolute hell. Flash forward probably 2 weeks and I was still devastated, self-loathing, it's not fair, blah, 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 having a meal with my mother in Camden Town, in that Italian place on the corner that I've told you about this story before. And for some reason, I just said to my mother, I just need to nip out. I don't know why. I just need to nip out. And I started walking, and we used to go to that cafe, obviously. Just walking past the cafe, and there she is, walking towards me, sobbing. And then I look at her, and she can't believe it's me. And she's going, it would have to be you. I mean, she's obviously just split up with me. But I was just too fucked to open up and go there again. And I didn't trust her. And I don't know, it was just too messy. It was too messy, but my God. And the other memory I had was prepubescence. And I hope this, Kim, do not listen to this. This is Kim, who lived at number 28. And I lived at number 18. And I was in love with Kim. She's probably, a year or two younger than me. Totally in love with Kim. And, we were kids. And she lived next door to Carlos. Everyone, including the old ladies, fancied Carlos. He looked like a Disney prince. And he was, well-mannered and everything. And I remember I was going to go up to her house to ask her to go out to play. I hadn't even snogged yet. I was, young. And I opened the door and I looked up the road. And there was Kim and Carlos having a snog. It's like, what? I don't know. It's like, even now, I died. I didn't even know how to do it. My God. And it's like, how am I going to survive this? How am I going to... And I guess I needed to retrieve myself from being the abandoned, stupid little boy who wants to play in the woods rather than the hunky guy that gets the girls. And I needed to kind of go back there and get myself back, because I could carry on playing that role until my dying day unless I felt back and I retrieved it and I felt back, through that. And now I'm available as my own man. We're Facebook friends now. She knows nothing of this, and I am going to unfriend her.
Do you want to give her away?
Shut up! Yeah, but it brings up stuff. It really brings up stuff. And I guess maybe, I don't know whether I have not been in I've avoided situations to be rejected, maybe since. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky enough that when I was dating, I've never done online dating or anything like that. I've always been in groups of friends, and there's always been girls in these groups of friends, and we've always had a brilliant time. And I don't know whether that actually happens these days.
I think it does amongst older people.
Yeah.
I tend to date a lot, or used to, a lot younger. And that environment is distinctly different.
Mm.
They don't have the social groupings that we, the notion of a dinner party, or, it's just, when I was a kid growing up, we were always in groups. We were never just couples. We were a gang of 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And we'd all hang out together, and some of those people would couple off, some people wouldn't. But it never changed the dynamic of the group. The group was far more important than the individual things that span off.
Yeah.
So you tolerate a lot in that environment that you'd probably not in any other. But yeah, and I for me, I think that one of the hardest things is that I don't think people understand what they want from relationships anymore. So my most recent one, she's actually older than me, which is it's a rarity. She looks considerably younger, but she was kind of going, I want to be in a partnership. So I'm like, great, I understand what that means. And then immediately starts going, are you paying for this? Like, and that's not really a partnership, is it? That's me looking after you. And I'm good at that, but that's where this needed to start, not let's have a partnership. It's like, oh, what I want is a traditional boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, blah, blah, blah. And it's exactly what you're saying. It's just, give me the parameters, I can work to them, and then decide if they're things that I want to choose.
Yeah.
But more often than not, people will present a mask that they think is going to attract you that isn't real. And when that starts to shimmer and shake, you're like going, okay, well, that's not what we signed up to. And now we're in a real mire because, you know, I got with you because you said you were this. And actually, that's not who you are. And really, ironically, if you'd said who you are, this probably would have worked.
Yeah. I want to, and I know that this is supposed to be you and I've jumped in, but I'm going to be true to my 3 positive things now that I'm kind of feeling into this. I used to totally isolate and self-loathe, and I would probably starve and binge. Maybe I'd twitch a bit more because I had tics and twitches with my Tourette's. Maybe I'd tidy things and hoover because I used to have OCD. You know, I'd get into it, whatever it was, to kind of self-loathe, self-soothe, whatever. The most important thing for me these days is that I phone a friend or hang out or bring it to one of the groups and say, this is what I feel, or this is what's going on. And as soon as I name it, I'm no longer owned by shame and I'm no longer blaming it, and I'm free. I really set myself free. It's like, here it is. I'm not carrying it. I'm not trying to torture myself in my head, trying to find a reason. And I don't think I ever have anyway. But it's out. And that just breaks the spell. So that's the first thing I do, is I reconnect. The second thing I do is really feel into it. And sometimes feeling into it is actually, it was never right. It was my attachment. And if it worked, then I'd be stuffed. And I've got an old bad habit that I used to have because I was terrible at rejecting. So my game would be that I would act like a bit of an idiot and hope they'd dump me. But weirdly, it seems like the girls I'd act like an idiot with kind of found it quite sexy or something. It's really stupid. So then they wouldn't dump me, they get into me. And then what's happened 3 times in my life is they will find another bloke who they then parade in front of me that I'm supposed to get jealous of and, you know, go back to her. But I generally befriend the bloke and just dash out the back door while the going's good. And that's how I would run away, rather than saying I can't or this or that or whatever, which is terrible. It's really bad. But I have learnt to communicate better, and I've learnt to be real about, well, actually, you're right. This doesn't fit. I just not only got attached to the picture of the relationship and my fantasies, but I even got attached to how to get. I was just being a control freak. And there was no space for me, leave alone you, leave alone a relationship. And when they don't work out, usually I am on some sort of a control trip or a fixing trip or filling my whole trip. And what's number 3? Number 3 has got to be music. When I was a basket case in Wales, when I was very young, I was really going mad at times. And I remember that Kiki D did save my life. And you lot don't even know who Kiki D is, I'm sure. But I would play, she's great, eh? I would play Kiki D, and I would play all sorts of, you know, funky 70s tunes and stuff. And it broke the spell. Music just brought me alive again. And I had no articulation. I was depressed. I was suicidal at times. I was a proper, you know, it was messy. And I couldn't talk to anyone then. Now I can. But still, music just changes. And I don't even have to move if I'm trying to dig my heels into my depression. And it's like, I'm depressed, God damn it. I'm not going to move anything. But this is quite funky. So those are my 3. Those are my 3 positives. And I get it more now. I think maybe because I've been in a long-term relationship for, I don't know, coming on for 20 years. It's a different story. It's a very different story for me to remember this. And don't give me that look, James. That's down in the mouth.
I was just looking up Kiki D.
Oh, really? And you put a sour face on. Kiki D's like, well, cool.
Well,
in the 70s.
Yeah.
How dare I interviewed her live on Radio 1 my first time I came to London, and I was so lost and so scared. And we were talking about full bladders. She signed all my albums, and I was lost around Oxford Street. This is Broadcasting House, and I was just in secondary school. And I thought, fuck it, I'm going to piss in the phone box. And if the police find me, then at least they'll take me home, and I'll be safe. We didn't even have a zebra crossing in Fishguard. Anyway, I think I've said enough. Back to you, Ben.
Oh, well, is it? I don't know. I thought, to be honest, I'd echo exactly what you just said in terms of positives. But I think overall, like I said earlier, the thing that I'll always do is return to myself, always. And I said all this earlier, but it's like you just said, not going through the process of making yourself wrong and trying to work it all out and it's just retaining to who you are, what you're about, continuing on your road that you love about you, and knowing that the right person will find you at the right time. And that's it for me. It's that self-talk, and let that flood, let those thoughts and those that energy flood my body and look forward to the future rather than stay in the question of what went wrong in the past. But that's also not to say that not embracing the rawness of that moment where it does hurt in that time.
I wonder about another thing about society today is like negative emotions are not allowed.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, and so
real.
many. It's like there are so many fixes: drink, drugs, sex, food, spending, working, God knows, gym, whatever it is. There are so many fixes to not feel.
Yeah,
it's so easy, but all things will pass, and that is one of the most important things that I have been forced to painfully learn, because when I've been fucked up, I've so often in my life thought I have always been fucked up. I have never been unfucked. I will always be fucked up. Whatever happened over that 5 minutes that slipped through the net, that must have been a mistake. But yeah, I'm a fuck up. And I used to really believe that. These days, sometimes it can still be difficult to remember that this is going to pass, because it can hurt so bad. It can hurt. There's a 60s song. Oh, God, shut up, those inner DJs. But it's so important for me, feel it and know that it's going to pass. But if I don't feel it, I'm not going to let it pass, because I'm feeding it. It's like I'm energizing what I want to go rather than energizing, it's that line again, energizing what I want to grow. I'm bored of listening to me. Let's do another round about something. What we did this morning, what could be simpler? Shall we do that?
Sure.
Who started? You started the last one, Bertie. Over to you, Paul.
I started my morning dealing with the fact that I'm about to lose the place that I'm currently residing in, which has now been confiscated by the Marine. I was boat sitting for a friend in St. Catherine's, and he's lost the boat. It's very complicated, and I probably shouldn't be saying this on air, but so that was and then I was at Tortoise Media doing an interview about DWP and artificial intelligence and the impact of technology again on society and welfare, and the way that algorithms are now biasing against everything that isn't monetized. So obviously with the DWP, it's about not allowing claimants to claim what they're legitimately entitled to, and they're using algorithms and all sorts of things to prevent people doing that. But that's something that, for me, my mindset and just staying sane is absolutely essential, is to be able to have those sort of intellectual conversations and re-engage with human beings on a daily basis. Otherwise, I do go mad.
How is your health? When's the last time you found yourself in hospital? Because
I haven't been in hospital for a long time because they won't take me in. I suffer with chronic fatigue syndrome, which at its worst puts me into a bedridden state. And I'm not able to talk. But there's no treatment, there's no cure. So hospitals go, well, you've got chronic fatigue, what are you doing here? We can't do anything for you. And they go, as soon as we take you in, you'll be bed blocking somebody that we could give treatment to, which is on one side you kind of totally accept, but on the other side you're going, but if I can't move, I'm just going to lie and die somewhere. I thought hospitals were meant to help with that kind of thing. But it's this administrative argument. So I very rarely tend to go there unless there's absolutely no other option. I'm quite fortuitous that I have a breadth of friends who I can turn to and get support from. But yeah, if it wasn't there, I'd have been dead years ago.
Wow. Well, that's unusual. First thing in the morning, first thing you do is find out that you've got nowhere to live again.
And then I'd love to say that was true, but it isn't.
Well, not unusual for you.
It's quite common.
So that's quite normal for you.
Yeah, it's I mean, if I'm at the airport, which is where I normally reside, so if I'm sleeping out at Heathrow, I've got everything pretty much locked down there.
Right.
I know what time to get there to avoid the security. You get access to all the kind of things, and that's fine. But the problem, that requires cash, and of course my benefits have all been stopped for a year, and eventually you run out of money, and as soon as you run out of money, then getting food becomes an impossibility at Heathrow. So then you have to change the dynamics of everything you do, because you have to start finding street kitchens and joining queues for an hour and a half to get some food, and then you have to carry that food, and that has an implication. So yeah, every shift and variant of routine requires an entire mental shift to survive. And I'm kind of bored with it, in truth. All of this is being caused because I'm not getting what's rightfully mine. I wouldn't mind if it was something I'd done. I could justify that in my head and kind of go, okay, well, I've been an idiot, But this is something I paid additional national insurance for. I had no control over my health in that regards. And then, of course, you get I've literally had teeth falling out of my mouth now because I haven't been able to get a dental appointment for a year because I've had to wait, and it's happening next week.
Wow.
But my vitamin D had dropped so low it didn't register my last tests.
Good God.
I mean, that's scurvy levels.
Wow.
In the 21st century. And cause I'm living off Tesco fucking meal deals. You got 20 quid to live on in a week, and you make choices. And the irony, of course, is I can get access to tons of amazing experiences when I'm going to a premiere or going to the opening of a theatre. So this juxtaposition between my lifestyle and my life is huge. And the DWP hate it because they'll always bring it up when I take them to appeals. Oh, Mr. Atherton was at the opera last night. That would have cost him 250 quid. And even the judge went, well, it does say 0 on his ticket. Just saying.
Yeah. Wow. And then from that, straight to doing a media interview. You're quite a guy, eh?
You do what you do.
And what did you do, Ben?
I've got this routine at the moment in the morning, which is really nice, actually. I've discovered a Spotify playlist. It's just a beautiful wake-up sort of session of music. It almost makes me feel sort of like I'm waking up in the Amazon forest, and it just feels really natural. And I put that on. As soon as I sort of start to stir, I put that on, and I just, for the next sort of half an hour, I wake up, I get my lemon juice, and then I stretch and I meditate. And that's kind of the start of my day. And I don't have to be anywhere at a particular time because I work for myself. So that's kind of almost my commute, the way I see it. Then I put on some affirmations when I go into the shower. I've found some really beautiful affirmations that I'm really getting into at the moment, and it changes. Sometimes I listen to inspirational talks, or sometimes I listen to music. But at the moment, it's wake up music and then affirmations in the shower, which I just I don't know, resonate with me. And then I did some writing. I'm writing a book, and then had a meeting in Richmond that I went to. I had a really lovely meeting, and this is one of the joys of what I do in this space is the people I get to meet. Sitting in this kind of room with people like all of you, and the meeting I had at 10 o'clock this morning, and so I often have to remind myself how lucky I am, that the things I'm doing every day, because it used to be on a bus, sitting in an office that uninspired me, and not feeling alive. And you still have shit days where things don't go. Perhaps you thought you're getting a job or whatever, and you have to remember where your goalposts are at. That actually once upon a time I would have dreamed to have had that opportunity. So I just, when I talk about it, I always feel very, very lucky as to where I'm at and kind of the opportunity I have to live like I do each day. Yeah.
Good on you.
Thank you.
I wonder when today started, because I didn't get home until about 3. So very, very late night, and I thought, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to get up for a while. I just needed a lie-in, a proper lie-in. And I thought, I looked at the clock and I thought, oh, I could get away with it. It's so opposite to you. I could get away without shaving today. Maybe I'll wear some grey. It'll blend in with the bristles. So, there's some grey in the shirt. So it's like scheming mind rather than affirmations. And my first appointment, got up. It was my wife is just so lovely to me. So she I packed my bag and got my clothes together, got myself together, she made porridge and, packed lunch, and I just needed to be on time. I went to see my therapist. I went to every 2 weeks. I've now booked in for, what do they call it, supervision, which is really good because I'm seeing loads of clients at the moment, and it's really good to debrief. So I went to have a debrief with him. I hadn't, it's great that it's regular now because I went for far too long just being too busy. And then he had his father died actually, so he was busy, so it was a bit in the air. And I feel very lucky that I debrief stuff with friends, but stuff to do with clients that needs to go somewhere else. So that was a golden hour, and my God, did I blurt out on this poor guy. It was blissful. So I came in here. Oh, and then I went, I had a meeting with you two, Bertie and Lau, and we had the whole story about the snake. Lau with his salad tongs. What a hero. Who needs a spear these days? And then I tried to get to my emails, and I have been 0 inbox for almost a week. Is that even allowed these days? But I didn't get to them because by the time I waded through WhatsApp and Messenger and this and that, I must have done 2 emails, and then it was straight over here to see you guys. So it's been nice. It's been a very, very unusual and different day for me, different morning for me, because I'm not usually out until 3 a.m. But Adventure City. Shall I pass you the mic? Oh, you've got your own.
Got my own mic, which I hope is working. There we go. I too started my day a bit late. I was here last night till 11 o'clock as I was covering for someone. So normally I get up at about 8. This morning I got up at about 9. Started my day the same way I started my day every day in my life, which is a cup of coffee and a cigarette. Really unhealthy, I know, whilst my microphone is breaking on me. Got to work, and then, just emails and details. Found out 2 people cancelled on me for tomorrow, so now literally the clock is ticking for me to find guests. So a little bit stressed, but otherwise, then just did my emails, got the studio set up for the interview, had a cigarette before we began, and just went with the flow. Really bog standard day for me, really. Yeah.
Do we only have 5 minutes left?
About 7.
7? That's outrageous.
Lucky number.
It's been a weird group today, don't you think?
I haven't debriefed my morning yet.
Yeah, he hasn't done his. You forgot Bertie.
How could I possibly?
Exactly.
Over to you, Bertie.
You didn't, of course.
Well, that was me asking you, how strange the group's been. Now I'm covering up. Go on. Spit it out.
Wasn't that? Well, actually, yeah, so apart from the meeting with you, I was looking at so I'm working on a short film, post-producing a short film at the moment. It's a film that I shot pretty much all of it about 4 years ago, but I never finished it. And I've only just in the past month got round to editing it. And I was just planning, I'll just find an animator to fill in the missing scenes. And now I've put it together, and it might not even need an animator. It might just make sense as it is, which would be pretty miraculous, because it's fucking hell, animator, how much are they going to cost, and it's going to be the right style, and then I'll have to get the actor, find the actors again and get them to do the voiceover, and it's but yeah, it's a film I'm really excited about. So it's semi-autobiographical, a film about it's based inspired by my experience at university. So a guy who finishes secondary school and gets into university and has all these high hopes about it, and then his expectations meet quite the stark reality, which it can be for some people. I'm really looking forward to finishing it and having a screening and having a Q&A and a talk and running some student groups, before or after it, and just getting some awareness about people's experiences of the transition, the school to university transition, because it seems quite one-sided at the moment, where it's all happy American pie, when it can be a bit more Requiem for a Dream.
Any citation of Aronofsky's always.
Do you know what different mornings we've had? Like fundamentally, totally different mornings. And I found it really, really easy to hang out with all of you. I'm weirded out at how difficult I found it to relate to the dating thing, but maybe it's because I'm just,
20 years relationship would normally do.
Yeah, and it's a different scene. It's a different world. It's not the way that I was brought up. And you and I, one way or another, strangely, are kind of Welsh. I mean, I was there since I was 7. And the community and the sharing and the fun and the love and everything that we had there, that's what I want to bring here.
Yeah, it sounded like that was kind of what you were talking about with the... you said most people nowadays, they don't have groups of friends. It's more like couples or like, I'd say also individuals. And I guess that's what you're saying about you never put yourself in the position of being rejected, because it's like the dating culture today is like, right, you have 3 chances with this person to whether you like them or not. Yeah. And, back in the day, and it was the same for me, as like back in secondary school, that just didn't exist, that dating culture. It was like you just had your group of friends, you met the friends of friends, and sometimes you clicked with them, sometimes you didn't, and we didn't even ask each other to date. You just kind of
merged.
It just happened.
It evolved
happened like organically.
It's such a relief to hear you say this, because something didn't fit earlier on when I said I didn't do that. It's not like I was always chased by women or anything like that. Sadly, when I didn't even notice it, because I was just, a nice Catholic boy. It was ridiculous. Right, shall we do one quick round of the way that I'm going to live love into being is? Top of your head. So who started the last one?
Did.
You did. Are you cool with this?
I don't really know what you're asking, sorry. The way that I'm what?
The way that you're going to live love into being into your life.
Live love into being.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Top of your head, and say pass if you want.
I'm going to pass initially because I'm not quite sure how to answer that one.
Okay. Top of my head, the way I'm going to live love into being is by naming what's going on and not making eye contact unless I actually want to connect. I don't know if that actually makes sense, but I guess it's being clearer about my boundaries rather than just splashing love around willy-nilly and being unfocused. Over to you.
Is the question kind of like, how do you want to create
love
the world you want?
Exactly.
Create a loving world, or a world in which, is that it? Right.
Can I just say that sounded really wrong? I just want to splash love.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had to.
I didn't even get that.
I had to. I thought you of all people.
Sounds wrong to a wrong mind.
Exactly. Nice one, Bertie.
So how do I want to...
We have 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to pass because I really haven't got anything to say. Like, that wouldn't take 30 seconds.
Don't know. I'll splash about a bit as well.
I'm going to continue what I've always done, which is invest in my friendships, and anything that comes along, make sure there's an opportunity to take it.
I always try and show up authentically without fear of rejection or failure.
How are we doing? 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.